Ree and Ben, and also Rivera Nayarit. Rivera Nayarit, right here on 116 West Pearl Street in Nashua, New Hampshire. The amazing Mexican cuisine with the birria tacos. You know, everybody's accustomed to just, tacos and burritos, but nah, these guys are going back into their roots. So the inspiration behind the restaurant was that Carla is actually from Nayarit in Mexico, and she brought some of her home cooked cuisines right here to the city. So what a treat. If you've never been to Mexico or to the coast of Mexico and you want a little bit of their cuisines, shout out 116 West Pearl Street. And also, if you want just Mexican traditional food while you're probably having some beer at Hop Knot, why don't you swing on over to Mi Jalisco, another Mexican restaurant in Manchester, New Hampshire, owner of two Latina entrepreneur just killing it. I know one of those. She's my partner, Jazz. And today's guest, speaking about Hop Knot, today's guest is Kenny. Kenny is a first-generation American business owner in Manchester, New Hampshire. If you've ever been to the Beer Crafts, restaurant and store, check out Hop Knot. And today we have the privilege of hearing his story. So welcome to the show, Kenny.
Thanks so much for having me.
Dude, this is great, man. This is a long time coming.
I know. It's like I think it's been like
almost
a year and a half, 2 years?
Almost 2 years.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So what do you think?
I love it. I love it. It's like the only other radio station I've ever been on is the Manchester one. So it's cool getting to watch, come in and see what the different setup is.
Yeah.
I love Nashua. I like downtown Nashua a lot too.
Yeah.
Like it's really walkable. There's lots of shops and it's just cute. It's adorable. I just live in downtown Manchester now, so for me, I see it every day, and so it's nice to get to go out into the other cities and hang out.
I like your downtown in Manchester too, especially the location of your restaurant.
Yeah, I love where we are.
Your bar. It's just it's pretty dope. You know, and what really inspired me was we were doing the show up in our sister station at WSMN in Manchester, and I was getting to know you. I was like, yeah, and Matt kept saying, Matt Carnady, shout out to his show, Matt Carnady Unleashed. He was, we were privileged enough to be on a show talking about what's been going on, and Jasmine and I were talking, and then we were telling him about the show, First Gen American, how it's going to come about. Actually, we had the interview before the show even went live. That's crazy. It was just an idea. It wasn't, so we told him about the show, and he kept bringing up Hop Knot. And I'm like, what is this? And our Kenny, and shout out to our Kenny, sponsor from Hop Knot. And I was like, oh, you can actually see it right out the window. And I was like, man, I got to go check that place out. And then you came on to the show, and then you said, hey, I'm a first gen too.
Yeah.
So here we are.
Yeah. I'm like sort of first gen, so I'm not going to lie. I'm actually a Canadian citizen, but I've lived here my whole life. So first gen North American?
First gen, dude. First gen. It works.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people are like, "What is first gen?" Right?
Yeah.
First gen is you're either naturalized citizen or you're first born from your family. So there's no confusion. I mean, everybody you can be first gen either born here, or you just I have family members that just got their citizenship.
Yeah.
Like for example, my boy Manny, he got his citizenship a couple of years back. He's like, oh yeah, I'm a first gen now. And Ronnie Camille.
Yeah.
Ronnie Camille just got his citizenship, first gen American. On your path it's not easy, dude.
I'm in the middle of it right now. I can't apply again until next year.
Yeah.
I think I've lived here since I was like 3 years old. Been here like I literally don't remember Canada.
Yeah.
Like I don't remember living in Canada at all when I was a kid. So by all other means,
Tell us a little bit about your nationality, the motherlands from your parents.
So my dad's from Budapest, Hungary, and then my mom's from Papua New Guinea. So they met when my dad's family. Rewind, skirt. So my dad was born kind of in the middle of the Hungarian Revolution, which was all because of World War II. The Nazis had invaded, and then the communists from Russia came in and kicked out the Nazis, but then turned out to be just as bad for the people living there. So my grandparents weren't communists, so they had to flee the country. So my grandfather left first and went to Canada, and then my grandmother and my dad and my aunt all followed him after.
Yeah.
So they settled down in Canada. And then after my dad graduated university, he went to New Guinea to go teach at one of the universities over there through like sort of the Canadian Peace Corps.
Yeah.
And then he met one of my uncles who was married to my aunt, who's my mom's cousin. And then they got introduced, and then they got hitched, and then they came back to Canada. So my sister was born in New Guinea, and then they came back to Canada, and then my brother was born, and then I was born. And then my dad was starting his own businesses out there, and then he got a good job opportunity, and then it brought us down into the States.
For a lot of our listeners that are not first generation Americans, or that have parents that migrated here, they're like, what did you just say? But for us, we're like, oh, we get it.
Oh yeah.
We
yeah, it's like
we
boom,
get
boom,
that,
boom, boom, boom.
we get that triangle and tangle.
Yeah.
So you came here from Canada and you were 3 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You lived in Manchester most of your life.
Most of it, yeah. I grew up in Hooksett, so like right next to Manchester.
Yeah.
And then I went to high school in Manchester, and since then I've pretty much been in the city.
And tell us about, like, what do you remember about your parents when you first came from Canada down to Manchester or New Hampshire?
So being in New Hampshire, so my dad's white and
Yeah.
my mom's black. My dad has a really thick accent, so like people hear that and then they immediately know. Like all the ladies at the Dunkin' Donuts in Massachusetts, they all think my dad's adorable, and it's a lot of the Portuguese women too. But like one thing that I always noticed, like really early on, because we lived in Londonderry for a little bit, and then we lived in Hooksett, and then I came to Manchester for school. But when we lived in Londonderry and we lived in Hooksett, I was like, it's not a lot of people that look like us.
Not a lot of diversity, huh?
Yeah, I was like, I could count on two hands like the kids in my class who weren't white, and I was like, I still remember all their names too. I still talk to a bunch of them too.
Yeah.
But like that was always one thing I really noticed. But
we tend to gravitate
to
those individuals that kind of look like us or sound like us,
But like for me, it was always like I because I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Like being biracial, so I was like I connected with both sides of it. It's like, granted, when I was a kid I had a big fro when I was a kid, and that's gone now, but I was like, I identified with both sides of it. So like growing up, that was always like a weird like kind of thing. It's taken me, like, I'm still figuring it out today, like what parts of me identify with what parts of me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that we call it the imposter syndrome of like what we're doing, or you might feel we could relate to probably the entrepreneur side of it.
Yeah.
It's just like of being in that position and saying, oh, I'm not quite sure if that's really who I am, but thank you for the acknowledgement.
Yeah.
So trying to identify of the crowd coming, because it happened to me coming from New York, trying to find, oh, wait a minute, that kid, he looks like me. Maybe he has the same background, or connecting. It might have been a little difficult for you because not a lot of people are from Budapest,
Yeah, we didn't know like any other Hungarian people and any other Papuan people. So like just like the like our specific cultures as on top of everything else, like we didn't have like hardly anybody growing up. There used to be a Hungarian bakery in Manchester.
Really?
And it just closed down last year.
Oh.
But it got bought. My friend Shelly, shout out Wild Orchid Bakery. She's from Trinidad. She got it, and she's like really done great with it. But my family used to go there we would go, like I'd go in there for lunch all the time.
Was it right on Elm Street?
Yeah, it was called Lala's.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it was one of the longest standing restaurants in Manchester. It had been there forever. And then the owners were just getting older, and it was time to retire. So
and it was the gentleman, the owner, that actually served you.
Yeah, Lotzi. Yeah. So he went in. It was nice. Like it was nice when I would go in there with my dad.
Yeah.
Because it's nice to hear my dad get to speak Hungarian.
Right.
Because he only got to do that with his family, and his parents have been gone for a long time. So now it's just his sister who lives in Canada still.
Yeah.
So like I don't get to hear it that often. So it's nice when I did get to, and I got to like go and flex, like saying thank you.
Yeah.
Like the two words that I knew that weren't bad words. But I went in the last day that they were open, and I just like I was crying at the counter because I was like, I'm gonna miss this place so much.
Yeah.
And then it like hit me again like around the holidays, because we would always go there for Christmas because they had all like the classic Hungarian desserts. So we'd go and we'd drop a lot of money on a lot of desserts. And like I don't even have a sweet tooth like that, but that's the only place, that's the only way we could get them was that. So this Christmas they had already been closed. And I said, I like jokingly, I was like, oh, where are we going to get our desserts from this year? And then I was like, oh my God, like, where are we going to get our desserts from this year? Like, I don't know what we're going to do. We've been doing this my whole life.
Right.
And I'm not much of a baking.
But the bacon, forget
You got to
it.
follow rules when you bake. And I'm not good at following rules. I'm not good at a recipe.
Or the measurements.
Yeah. No, I don't like measuring things.
What do you mean? It's just a little bit
of
this.
this.
A little bit of that. What do you mean? Growing up, traditions, you know, how did your parents keep that alive, and because sometimes we're battling with two different cultures or two different countries, right?
Yeah.
One from your dad, one from your mom. What was most dominant, and which one did you kind of more assimilate to than another?
That's a good question. I think with certain aspects of both cultures, like we felt them a lot. Like just the way our household was run was definitely more like my mom, like my mom's culture, because that's just kind of how it takes a village, and like that was my mom with all of my friends growing up and their moms. Like they would all work together. One person's mom would bring us all to practice, and then somebody else's mom would pick us all up and drop everybody off, and then we'd all hang out at my house on the weekends. But like that, especially with like Christmas is like very like that's like the one time of year that like we don't like to talk about emotion. We're not very like emotionally forward people in my family, but like you can always count on somebody crying at Christmas, and like that's when we just talk about all the people in the family that are gone now, and we just like we all crack all of our jokes. Like one of the traditions that we do is we leave an empty plate. Like we'll leave an extra place setting for everybody that can't be with us, and then we'll look at old pictures and we'll just talk about old stories and stuff. It's cute. But my parents, even I think, like coming to America, my parents were like, especially my mom, she like very much assimilated into American culture. Yeah. So, like as much as like we're proud of where we come from, like my mom's like she's also very proud to be American. Yeah. I was like, my parents are American. Like everybody else in my family, they've all gone and got their citizenship now. And I know that my mom's like very proud to be American, and both of my parents have done a lot to be involved with their communities. Both my parents coach sports all their lives. My dad used to run the Lawrence Youth Soccer Program.
Oh, wow.
And we would like collect, like I'd go to school and go on the intercom and we'd collect everybody's old youth soccer equipment, and then we just bring it down there so we could give it out to everybody. That's awesome. That way we all had stuff to do. So like my parents, like when they came here, they very much tried to get involved with the community, because as much as that's our culture, like this is our culture now too. You
know, I always notice that we're always trying to get involved, but we never get the acknowledgement of our involvement. Right?
Yeah.
Getting involved, we feel like we have a sense of duty to this country that accepted us, right? But when you turn on the news nowadays, you see that there's a different type of climate, right? And we felt it as first generation Americans, we felt it, but we haven't acknowledged it as much as we do now, especially with social media. You turn on your phone, it's there. You turn on the TV, it's there. You turn on the radio, it's there. It's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the kind of like the lessons, or maybe something that your parents have taught you, or maybe that they've said, like, you know, hey mom, can you believe this? Like we've all felt it one way or another.
Yeah.
What are some of the traits, or maybe some of the lessons that your parents have taught you to say, this is how we deal with things, but we still love this country, we're moving forward?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, like my dad was born in like the middle of a war, and I don't like to talk. I don't ask him about it much because
trauma.
Yeah. And I don't know. My dad, he's like cool as a cucumber, like never seen any emotion on that man's face, but I just feel like it's not really my place to dig about it, because like I can only imagine what it must have been like. But I've had friends interview him for like school reports and stuff like that. So like I know some of the things. And one time one of my buddies asked him what his earliest memory was. And he said that it was his parents flipping over the clawfoot tub and putting him under it because the city was getting bombed. And I'm like, geez, like what the hell, man? Like that's a lot. So like I don't like to dig into it.
Right.
But like, I think also with everything that my father's been through, he's like one of the kindest people that I've ever met. And like his whole life has been for his kids. Like
Yeah.
he's extremely successful in his own life. But he never, like, he doesn't talk about it. Like, he doesn't need to tell anybody that he's successful or anything. Like,
Right.
he just does it, and he's just trying to, like, he's done as best as he could. That way he could pass on whatever he has to his kids so that we can
The
do
legacy
whatever.
continues.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm definitely taking, like, a way less traditional route than he did because my parents definitely wanted me to be an engineer like him. And I was like, no.
But what do you mean?
I was like, I'm a lot
This
better
is
with
the path.
cooking. Yeah.
This is the path.
I was like, of all the, like, there's always those stereotypes where,
Right.
like, they want you to be a doctor, they want you
Yeah.
to be a lawyer, they want you
Yeah.
to be an engineer. I was like, no.
Have a career. Have a 401k.
No, I hate wearing suits and I like my stretchy pants. Like, no. No.
But you look handsome. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
that's what I'm saying. I was like, I think I look good.
Now, I always wonder, like, they're dealing with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Some of our parents deal with trauma differently.
Yeah.
Others are on autopilot, succeed, legacy, children, family, right?
Yeah.
And others are like, ugh, here you go. Here's the baton.
Mm-hmm.
I can't right now.
Yeah.
I can't. Even though they're still on autopilot,
Mm-hmm.
some deal with it differently than others. Have you ever felt like that there was some type of trauma that your parents were trying to suppress, or maybe that you didn't see? Because hearing stories like that of being put under a tub,
Yeah.
while they're getting, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. I think one thing that I've definitely noticed a lot more since, like, we opened the restaurant, because with the restaurant, it's a lot of me in it,
Yeah.
where, like, we talk about, like, we're very open about being, like, LGBTQ centered. Like, we're not a gay bar or anything like that, but we're very focused in that community.
Welcoming
And
and
everybody
inclusivity and all
knows
that,
that.
yeah.
And I was like, I'm gay. Like, people are like, is this a gay bar? I was like, no, but it's my bar and I'm gay. So like make of that what you will.
Right.
But
Come one, come all.
yeah, one thing that, like, I definitely noticed, and it's more so with my mom, because we always butt heads. It's been like that forever. But one thing that I really, like, I've learned a lot over the last few years especially is that, like, like how we were just saying earlier, like, for, like, entrepreneurs like ourselves, like, there's no playbook for
Right.
us. Like, nobody teaches us how to do this.
No blueprint.
Yeah, and I think for my parents, they had the same thing with raising their kids in this country.
Right.
Like, they'd seen other people raise kids, but they'd never been immigrants raising their kids in a new
Right.
country with a completely different culture than,
Yeah.
like, what
That
it
risk,
was.
that anxiety,
Yeah, so I think that's, like,
that fear.
yeah, like, especially when I first came out to my parents, and
I was gonna get to that.
yeah,
but go ahead.
my mom she's always been very, very concerned, and I think it's not out of a lack of love for me. It's her wanting to protect me
Right.
and having, like, because we came here in the 90s, and even back then it wasn't what it is today, and even
Right.
today it's still not always like it's not always in a positive light or anything
Right.
like that. But I think it was more of her just wanting to protect me, that she didn't want that life for me.
Right. Do you think that they reflect and they say, because some parents either project their fear, right?
Yeah.
or sometimes they self-reflect and say,
Mhm.
did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
Well, the mother was like, was I too nurturing enough? The father goes, was I too distant? They automatically blame they put the blame on themselves,
Yeah.
and then they take it out on the child, and then maybe the disconnect. How was it transitioning? Because being from the Middle East and situations and where we focus more on, like, traditions and old school mentality,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
How was that? Did you have fear coming out, like, and especially to your father, because he's cold as a cucumber, but
Yeah.
those are the fathers that are like, hey, Dad.
I actually told him first.
You did?
Yeah, and
Okay.
and I don't know what I was afraid of, because he never, like, he doesn't often get mad.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't, like, he's just very mellow all the time. And, like, I told him in the car one day, he's like, okay. And I was like, okay, cool, word, all right, we're done. And then like, this one guy I dated, I just started staying at his house all the time.
Yeah.
And then I went home to like get some clothes one time. Mom's like, "Where you been?" And I was like, "At my boyfriend's house." She's like, "Were you planning on telling me?" And I was like, "No." And she's like, "Did you tell your father?" I was like, "Yup."
Yeah. So your father knew before me?
Yeah. But like I think even still now,
Yeah.
like I don't hold it against her. Like it's one, like that's another thing that I've had to like really learn is that like these people like like my parents, like the older generations in my family, like they all have these mindsets, and like I don't want to. I think earlier in my life I wanted to change their mindsets and like change their opinions on things, and at some point you're not going to change any more about people, but you can still find a middle ground with them. Like you don't have to love like that's my mom loves me. I know my mom loves me. Like it's not like there's no question about that. And it's like you don't have to be crazy about everything I do, but just keep loving me.
Congratulations.
Thank
You just unlocked and you unbroke a chain link that we constantly feel like we have to be accepted by our families, that we have to assimilate to this lifestyle. You could have been a lawyer, you could have been a doctor, but you said, no, I am who I am.
Yeah.
I'm going to come out to you whether you're accepted or not, right? I still love you. I hope you love me back.
Yeah.
And guess what? I'm going to make something of my life, and I'm going to be completely authentic. Most of first-generation Americans are afraid of that.
Yeah.
Are afraid of disappointing. As, we're afraid of disappointing our family members.
Yeah.
We're afraid of, like, because automatically we have that guilt of, like, oh, man, all that sacrifice. All that sacrifice
all
from
the work
my
that you
parents.
put into
like,
me.
how dare I disappoint them?
That's always been my motivation with work. That's why I've always, like,
Yeah.
I'm a workaholic. I'm like my dad. And, like,
Legacy.
Yeah.
Keep propelling forward.
And I was like, even though I'm not doing what you want me to do,
Right.
like, I'm still going to do what I want to do, like, the best that I can, because, like, I want to prove to you that, like, just because I didn't do it the way you wanted me to, like, doesn't mean I can't be successful in my own way.
I think that's the mentality that we need to have. We need to have is, yes, they made the sacrifice. Yes, we have the freedom to become whatever we want, to do whatever we want, as long as we're healing in the process to be a better version of ourselves. And it's about these conversations that starts a lot of healing processes. I've never, when I started the show, I didn't know exactly what I wanted the show to be. I thought it was just going to be a conversation about, like, similarities.
Yeah.
Right? And just, like, automatically say, hey, yeah, your father came from a boat, and, your mother came from the island, and, yeah, we all migrated together. And isn't it funny? And then all of a sudden we're like, whoa, hold on a minute.
Yeah.
I hit a trigger.
Yeah.
That affected you the same way that, like, me? Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
How did you do that differently? Oh, well, you tell your story.
Yeah. Because even though they're, like, similar,
we don't heal the same.
Yeah, like we all, like, you guys got the joke at the beginning.
Right.
Like, you guys got my parents' story, but
yeah.
your parents' story versus my parents' story versus your parents' story, they're all going to be totally different. Like, kind of just the same storyline, but, like, new season.
Yeah. We all inputted to the same address of the United States of America, but all of our journeys are not the same. All of our stories are not the same. You know? I'm so proud of you to be able to be brave enough, because there's a lot of first-generation Americans that are battling with that identity crisis, of, like, finding themselves and just wanted to scream it to the world. But hold on a minute. What is my aunt going to think? Or what is my uncle going to say?
Yeah.
And then the backlash between protecting our families, protecting our parents, when in reality, they love you and accept you for who you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that fear of, like, coming out and then saying, because every move that we make, we think 10 steps ahead because of, like, the backlash within our family. And sometimes the internal pain hurts harder than what anybody else of our friends or our community thinks.
Yeah.
Did you ever fear for that?
I still have that sometimes, because, like, my mom's whole family's still back in the home country.
Tradition.
And, like, and, like, still got people living in the village and stuff like that. And it's like the only way that they know us is through Facebook, and whenever they know through Facebook is what my mom posts.
Right.
And it's like I don't.
And
think
she's careful what she posts. You know.
Yeah. So like I don't like honestly. I've only met most of my family over there like once, like long time ago. Is probably how old am I now? 28. It's probably like 15 years ago now that I met all of them, and even back I was only like 14, so I didn't even know who the hell I was back then.
Have you ever been back to the motherland?
Yep, just once 15 years ago.
Let me tell you something. I love social media and I hate it at the same time. And the reason why is because the kind of like the authentic innocence of going back to the motherland and that village, of being able to disconnect from everything in America.
Yeah.
That pressure of trying to make it, that 9 to 5, that whole stigma, that whole image that other individuals back in our motherlands that want that opportunity to come here, it doesn't matter for them when you go back, because now when you go back, as long as you're approachable and you're not a cocky, prick.
Yeah.
You know, you're one of them, right? So as soon as like before, when I was younger and I would go back to South America, God, I loved it. Because I didn't have to wear the latest clothes. And I would remember, like, I wouldn't put fancy clothes because I didn't want to come and say, hey, look at me.
Yeah.
I'm from America, the land of opportunity, you peasants. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, I came, I'm like, yo, what's up, cousin? Like, oh, you don't got shoes on? Psh, kicking off my shoes.
Right.
Let's run through the dirt. Let's get dirty. Let's, like, all that pressure and that freedom, right? And then, like, I knew that as soon as I leave, I wouldn't take these clothes back with me. I'm giving it out to everybody. My cousins, of course, they say, oh, I like that those shoes. They're yours.
Yeah.
You know? And then none of that perception. But now, after social media, it's just like they know what you're doing. They know your lifestyle. Oh my God, you're dating a pretty white girl.
Yeah.
Or a handsome man. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, oh, you're doing this, you're doing that. So now when you go back, there's no sense of curiosity or connection. There's just like, boom, I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
The village knows, the gossip through the village goes faster than anything before you had to make a phone call at a calling center.
And everybody has smartphones now, too.
Oh,
It doesn't matter where you're from. Everybody has smartphones now.
Right.
So I was like, they can see the pictures and everything. I was like, people don't think that people in the villages have phones. And it's like, no, they have smartphones. Like, they have the same phones that we do.
Hey, did you know that Kenny, he opened up his own restaurant?
Yeah.
What are some of the traditions going back when you were there that you got culture shock of being in the United States, going from Canada to the United States and going back to the motherland, that you were like, whoa, wow, this is how my parents lived, and like, wow, I appreciate the sacrifice. I get it now.
Yeah, just being there in general, just because everything is so different there.
Right.
Like, one, like, everybody's black, and I'm from New Hampshire, so like that's like, it was like the first time I went to Baltimore, I was like, oh my God. I was like, look at all these people. I was like, I'm with my people, finally. But like, just like the way of life is very different over there.
Yeah.
I was like I think people in like less, I don't want to say, like, I hate, like, I don't like saying like underdeveloped countries, but less developed countries, like, you're driving around there and like there's potholes everywhere. I was like, my roommate's family was up from Colombia for the holidays, and we were walking downtown, and we pressed the crosswalk button, and they're like, "Oh, those work here?" I was like, it's just like the little things like that, like the like, so there's potholes everywhere. Like, Leh is the biggest city in New Guinea, I think. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that. If I'm right, quote me on that. If I'm not, don't quote me on that. But they call it Pothole City. Yeah. Because everywhere has potholes, and we're riding around and we're sitting in the beds of the truck, and then we're bouncing around. It's like you got to hold on. Yeah. But even just going from like the city, because I have family that lives on like the university campus, so it's very like gated. It's very secure. Right. Like there's people selling like food on the side of, like, people just like that
street markets,
that just grew their food, and they're selling it on the side of the street. And then you go like out to the village. Like, one of my uncles lives like on the beach. Like, the whole village is on the beach, and it's so cool because they're all just living in little huts that are on the beach. Yeah. It's like you get the sea breeze. Like, they got the what am I trying to say? The walls
Yeah,
made
yeah.
with like the trees and stuff like
Yeah, yeah.
that. The palm fronds for the
Oh,
roof,
yeah, yeah,
so you
the-
get like
the
the
huts,
breeze
yeah.
going through. It's
Cas-
nice.
in Spanish, we call it casa de caña.
Yeah, it's
The
amazing.
cane, the houses made out of cane.
Yeah, exactly.
Sugar cane. And all
Mhm.
that.
And then even from there, we went back to like the island that my family's from, and going over there, like we had to take a ferry.
Right.
And there's like cockroaches all over the ferry and stuff. And then when we get to the island, there's no port
Those are
or
local pets, man.
anything.
Those-
Yeah, right. There's no port or anything. So
Right.
from the ferry, we stop further out,
Yeah.
and then they paddle out on the carved out canoes, and then there's just somebody holding the canoe
Right.
to the ship, and we're trying to like move all the luggage off because we brought back like school supplies for the school,
Yeah.
and we're like trying to jump off, but the waves are rocking. I was like, this is some stuff right here. I was like,
Yeah. When your mom was going back, right,
yeah,
to New Guinea, she must have been packing 6 months in advance.
oh my god. It was a whole process when we went
Yeah.
back. I remember when we were trying to
Mom,
go
are we
through.
moving back or what?
We were going through TSA and we had so much stuff to bring back with us just to give out to everybody.
$500 worth of overweight.
Yeah, for real, and that was before I knew how all that worked. I was
Yeah.
like, what is the hold up here?
Ma'am, half of your luggage has to go on the next flight.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
wild.
Nah, but most of that stuff is going back. This is for your cousin.
Yeah.
And this is for Juanita. And this is for Bruno, in the next village.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, because I think that's a sense, that's why we assimilate the same mentality of going back to our motherland, to giving back here.
Yeah,
That's why our involvement as first generation, it automatically connects with us as first gens to be able to be like, we got to get involved. We got to
Yeah.
connect. Hey, so and so came, just migrated over here from South America or Eastern Europe. We have to help them. We have to connect, and they just lost everything. Rally up together.
yeah,
We have a lot of advocacy between our own selves within our own community, especially here in New Hampshire. What is the disconnect being a business owner? What is the disconnect and the opportunity that still needs to be approached in Manchester for you as a business owner?
I think me being who I am,
Yeah.
I'm always walking on these eggshells about, like, I want to advocate for my communities.
Yeah.
For my communities, as in the BIPOC, the LGBTQ plus community,
Right.
but I'm also part of the New Hampshire community, and a lot of that's white people.
Right.
And so I think, especially lately with just the climate that the country's in right now, with everything going on, that I'm having to learn. I have to learn how to say what I want to say, but in a way that's productive.
And not
for
isolating yourself.
Yeah, and that's not like that. I'm not pushing other people away,
Right.
but and trying to put my message forward.
Is he? Let me guess, because we're going through the same thing. Trust me.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Is Kenny? What is he saying? Is he passionate or is he angry?
Yeah.
Right?
And that's one thing that I've had to learn too. And one of my friends, she kind of guides me through a lot of my thoughts, because
Yeah.
I get really, really hot and I say things and I
Right.
don't always
You're
think about what
passionate.
I'm saying first.
get
I'm a
it.
Sagittarius, it's how we do.
My wife's a Sagittarius, so I know how that goes.
But like I'll say things when I'm hot and not think about it. And then I lose the message completely
Yeah.
in it the point that I'm trying to get across gets lost because I've upset somebody else.
Right.
And I didn't think about saying it in a way. I didn't give myself a day to cool off and reflect about it and think like maybe there's a better way to put this than to just attack somebody else.
Here's where I agree with you, but here's where I have my kind of qualms about it. Why are we constantly trying to convince other people that we're not upset?
I know.
When they don't have the same background as
Yep,
us, when
I
they
know.
don't come
I know.
from the same community as us, but we got to tippy-toe around these
Yeah.
individuals to make them understand. And be careful, let's not spook them, because then we lose them.
Yep.
Why? That is, Manchester, we were talking about this in our office. Manchester has a school that has 73 languages. And yet, you look at the Chamber of Commerce, no different than Manchester, no different than Nashua, and it's all run by white individuals. And shout out to our advocates and our allies,
Yeah.
but we still need more of them,
Yeah.
right? Shout out to them. We see you we acknowledge you.
Yeah.
Right? But like I say all the time, stop taking the microphone away from us to speak for us and let us speak.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we notice that. We get it.
Yeah.
But I'm sick and tired of tippy-toeing around
Yeah.
people.
I feel you.
And I'm sick and tired of them saying, oh, Oscar, he could be a little hard-headed sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't. Like Jasmine, she gives me that look sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like, relax.
Yeah.
If they get it, they get it. If they don't, they were never for us.
Mm-hmm. I think with people that are in our position, like I think you and I probably both have the same mentality where it's like I'm in this position, so I'm gonna make some noise. Like
Right.
I'm gonna make sure I'm stirring the pot.
Right.
And I was like, I try to balance it a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm in the mood to stir the pot, and then sometimes I'm just gonna like chill and cool off and let everybody else do the talking.
Right.
I was like, I know that even just my presence
Yep.
at these things, like, is like that's something in and of itself. I don't have to speak at anything, but just being a body there. Like we just had a meeting with the Small Business Administration, the national person that works for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
She came into town. Then the mayor was there. Chris Pappas was there, and for me,
Wait,
like,
you were able to get Chris Pappas in the same room as you?
yeah, oh yeah, oh. Well, it wasn't me. It was them. They got me.
I
They
mean,
got
the
me in
fact
the room.
that
But
he didn't send an advocate or something.
No,
or
yeah,
a
he was there.
representative. Oh yeah, with his little letter because
Yeah.
it's happened to us before. But
Yeah.
go ahead, not to get off track.
But
Sorry.
we all got it. We all went in the room, and like not everybody got to speak.
Yeah.
But I think even just me being there, like
Yeah.
showing face. That's like I just want to be a body there. Like that's
Absolutely,
Like,
man.
I don't have to always
But your presence.
be saying something.
Yeah.
But like I need to make sure that I'm there for
Yeah.
it because even people know what I say. Like I
Right.
don't I'm not slipping. Like I'm always saying the same thing. So like people know who I am,
Yeah.
what I'm about. So if I'm there,
And what you
know
represent.
why I'm there and who I'm representing when I'm
Right.
there.
And what it does on the other side, it just shows like in our community, it's like, hey, look. Kenny's getting involved. I think we got something here.
Yeah.
I think there's a momentum because our community's slick. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Our BIPOC community slick is like, all right, he's going up first. Batter up.
Yeah.
All right, let's see how long he stands before he strikes out and he gets burnt out.
Yeah.
Because many have tried
Yeah.
and many have failed. But it's the strong individuals like yourself,
Yeah.
like Eva Castillo, like the strong heavy hitters that move in silence but are doing so much waves for our community. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It inspires. And what the crazy part is that we don't have a platform until now. We don't have a platform that constantly just advertises that.
Yeah.
We have this whole corporation trend of give us a month
Yeah.
of inclusivity and put it up on the website and then
Yeah.
hey, that month's over. Get them out of there. We did our part. And yet
Yeah.
the involvement, what's the opportunity? You being a business owner, what was some of the kind of like the difficulties of starting your business, not having the representation, having that representation, or having allies or mentors or coaches that you
Yeah.
can go to inspire you to start a business and do it on your own?
It was at the beginning. It was like the restaurant side of it. That part was not easy, but that's what I knew.
Yeah.
So that's not what I had a hard time with.
It's the
It
logistics.
it's the logistics of it, and then it's also like I've said from like very early on in like my career in the culinary world that when I make it, like when I have my own spot, like I'm not gonna be like all these other places that I've worked for, who all of the dishwashers, like all of our dishwashers are Latino,
Yeah.
and
Keep 'em
none
on the
of-
back.
and none of their bosses can talk to them because none of their bosses speak Spanish. I was like, one of the restaurants that I worked at,
Yeah.
like most of the bosses couldn't speak to the dishwashers,
And then they
because
do that
didn't speak
smug
Spanish.
commenting, hey, amigo.
Yeah.
Hey, amigo. That's
Yeah.
so degrading. I
Like-
used to work at a restaurant before I got involved in the Hispanic restaurants, the Latin restaurants, where I saw, or even myself, I felt it, where like, hey, amigo. I was like, dude, I speak English
Yeah,
and
and I
Spanish.
have a name.
And I have a name, yeah. Oh, no offense. I'm just joking with you. They throw in that, I'm just trying to connect with you.
Yeah.
Actually, as a matter of fact, to cover it up, guess what? Here it comes. Oh, my wife is Puerto Rican. My wife is Puerto Rican.
I've
yeah.
got black friends.
Yeah, I got
my
black-
niece is black.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, that connection, and what did you want to see different in starting this business? What was your mindset establishing this business?
I just wanted to make sure that people knew like who I was, like, because there's been times like for places that I've worked, and it's like everybody, like people know who owns these restaurants and stuff like that, and it's like la-di-da, and then everybody's like, oh, this dude's a bleep. I had to catch myself. I forgot we're on the radio.
Really?
But yeah, like we know, like it doesn't. If you're in the guts of a business, like you learn, like you know all the drama. Everybody knows all the tea, like about everybody else in there. Yeah. And it's like I wanted to make sure that when I got into that position, like I wasn't going to be quiet about things, like the issues that are important to me, that like affect my communities. Like I didn't want to not use the platform that I have now to do it, because like I went into business like with my family, so like I had the financial backings of my family with me, and like I wouldn't be able to do it without that, but also this restaurant wouldn't be here without all the work that I've been putting in the last 10 years. So it's like I'm gonna do it
10 years deep.
Yeah, like I'm gonna this is how I'm gonna do it. And I was like, I'm gonna be true to myself with it. And if that means like I'm gonna be yelling Black Lives Matter and everybody hates me for saying Black Lives Matter, cool. Like maybe you're not the people that I want in my restaurant anyway.
Absolutely. Stop faking the funk. Stop saying that you support us until it has to do with something about us, and then all of a sudden you turn your cheek and give us the backside. Like we were talking about this earlier about, connecting with individuals within our community, businesses and corporations are like, I love what you're doing. We see you. Yeah. We see that you're trying to market to this type of demographic, the BIPOC community. And they're like, yeah, thank you so much for your support. We see you. And by the way, we're trying to do this. And what's your input? Hey, by the way, you should do this, this, and that. And then, thanks. We'll see you later.
Yeah.
You know? Knowing that, you're putting yourself out there is another part of ownership. It's saying who I am. Yeah. I am proud of who I am. This is who I stand for. And I stand for my community 100%. Right? Did you have any sense of fear at the beginning? Or maybe your counterparts, maybe friends from the white community saying, hey, dude, you got to tone it down a little bit, or be careful, don't say that, because, you might get customers that don't come in. Yeah. What did you say? How did you react to that?
I think at the beginning I was not afraid at all. Yeah. And, like, it worked in my favor, but it also worked against me sometimes. Yeah. Definitely, like, my mom's always been very cautious about, like, we don't want to lose customers. And I was like, well, if I'm saying something like this and the customers don't like it, maybe they're not the ones that I want in there anyway. Right. I was like, but like, I think it's been more, the more that I do it, and I've done different things in different ways before. Yeah. And I think most recently after the Kyle Rittenhouse trial concluded, and I put some stuff up on one of our chalkboards, and I was a little bit aggressive. I was definitely aggressive with some of it, but I was also really angry. Yeah. Like really, really upset. And from doing that, the post got like more than 3,000 interactions on Facebook. We were flooded with comments. Yeah. And most of it was hate. Like a lot of it was hate. Somebody from one of the political parties in New Hampshire had shared it to, like, it had been shared amongst these like right-wing pages, and that's how it got all the traction.
A member from New Hampshire, a political member from New Hampshire.
I'm not gonna say who, because I'm not gonna blow up anybody's spots like that. But
and trust me, you know where we're at. You know what kind of radio station this is? They're listening.
It got put into a couple of different like right-wing kind of like people that like to make fun of the snowflakes and everything. It got put into a few of those groups, and it turned into a lot of really, really ugly, nasty hate. And even now, like, it's been like, it was like, I'm not gonna lie, it was traumatizing, like seeing people say these awful things about you, because now when I have to go onto the Facebook page to like just check on things, my stomach's in knots, because I'm like, am I gonna get another random comment from this thread that happened a while ago, or la-di-da? And it's like, I stand by every single word that I said on that thing, like no regrets about it, but like also with no regrets, there's the consequences of it, right? Where I upset all of these people, and I think that's where, I think with that one, what I was saying earlier about like wanting to say what I want to say, but not wanting to alienate anybody from it, like that was I think that was a really big wake up call for me, that like I need to be a lot more, and I need to be more poignant,
strategic.
And strategic's probably a better word, because
not as a business owner, you're like, you want the the human side, the passionate side, the personal side of you wants to be like, I want to attack.
Yeah, and
I want to. My heart and desire stands nothing with these bigotry and hate and bull. Right. And then my entrepreneur side is like, careful. You don't want to isolate yourself. You're responsible for other partners, other employees, and a business. So if you isolate yourself, you're like, now you're getting in a category. You're floating, you're teeter-tottering right in that swinging pendulum. Are you on this side? Are you on this side? That's what we talk about. And then you got to be like, you know what? If I don't say anything, I'm not standing up for my community. If I say too much, I'm going to be pigeonholed into extremists. Right? You got to be careful. And what was going through your mind in that aspect, and how did you pivot from that? And because this is a learning lesson. Right?
For sure.
This is a learning lesson. And dude, we've all been there. I've said some things that, Jasmine kind of checks me on that. And Jasmine's probably wanted to say some things that I probably said, well, remember when you checked me on that? That's not fair. You can't do that.
I've definitely been more like thoughtful about when I'm posting stuff that I know is gonna evoke some sort of emotion in people, because even like on like Martin Luther King Jr. Day, like I put out a post and I always run it by, I'll send it to all of the people that I like to check things. Like I've got all of my friends that I like to have read this. Like, do I sound mean? I had to catch myself radio again. I was like, do I sound like condescending? Do I sound like I'm attacking anybody? And like with the Martin Luther King Day stuff, there was a word that people were saying on Facebook about us, and I can't remember exactly what the term is.
There's always some type of
some
ignorant, clever word that they come up with.
But I wanted to I want to be vocal about like businesses posting things about these just to get like some clout or whatever. And it's like, like you can, if you're going to post something about Martin Luther King Jr., like then you should also be doing some work in your community to like support the BIPOC community.
Well said. Well said.
And I remember saying
diversity and inclusion box checked.
Yeah. And it's like,
post set.
Yeah.
And here we go, folks.
It's so much more. It's so much more than that. And it's like, you can talk the talk, but like you have to walk the walk. And I see it like, especially in the gay community, the LGBTQ community, Pride Month, every single big business turns their logo into a rainbow, and I hate it.
How many do you employ?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
How many do you include?
Yeah.
Have you given back?
Yeah.
Are you involved?
It's big in the liquor. I've noticed in the liquor industry too. Is that like RuPaul's Drag Race? All of the queens from RuPaul, they were all getting liquor deals now.
Yeah.
And I've been approached by like liquor reps before for the restaurant. They're like, "Oh, we have this Harvey Milk vodka that we're selling," and I'm like, but when I was like open to it, I was like, okay, like I'll look into it, and we looked into it, and we couldn't find where this money that was donated from the profits from that, we couldn't find where the money was going.
That's what I always say.
You gotta find the money.
Follow the money. Find the money. Follow the money.
Because I was like, I'm I'd buy it if I knew where that money was going.
Right.
I was like, there's lots of like national organizations that support like LGBTQ youth. Like, which one's it going to? Like, I just want to know where it's going to. And then
I've always wondered this, because like we live in a right wing state. Kind of teeter-tottering to the blue and in the middle.
It's like I think it's like a 50-50.
Right?
It's like a solid 50-50.
Right? So, and then I'll never forget the moment where I was at a Mexican restaurant, and then you see this guy in a Mexican restaurant wearing a MAGA hat. It's like, oh, I'm here for the tacos and the margaritas, half off. And I was like, oh,
it's
I love
Taco
it.
Tuesday.
It's Taco Tuesday. I love it. I oh my God, I'm a big fan. Trump 2024.
After one of the Trump rallies in Manchester, they all went into margaritas after, right across the street from us. I was like, what are y'all doing?
Well,
it's margaritas.
White owned.
Yeah.
White owned. Yo, give us our flavor back. Even though that flavor is
shout out me Jalisco.
Oh yeah. So, dude, how and going back to what you were saying of like that RuPaul drink or that beverage, and you got to be careful with the backlash within your own community, because it's like this this gentleman says he's about our community and part of our community, but doesn't support our brand. How do you? Because you got to be careful on all angles. You know, you got to in our community, within the BIPOC community, we could. One of our own is like, we're not getting enough publicity of his own. You know, he's not authentic enough, and he might be a gatekeeper.
Yeah,
you got to be careful because we're between a wall and a rock.
Yeah,
of like trying to move our community forward and so and just how do you pivot? How do you stay level? You know, being a business owner, being a part of the gay community, and also moving forward within the BIPOC community. How do you balance that all?
I think I surround myself with people that encourage me. That's one thing for sure. Like I have like the greatest support system amongst all of my friends, and like the one thing that I love about my friends, and like, well, I'll tell you that like we're all over the place. Like we're from different places. Like lots of like my 5-10 best friends that I hang out with all the time. Like more than half of us are immigrants, all from different countries. We all have these different lifestyles. We all came up in different ways. So like I'm always, but then like also like my roommate, my best friend, my longest friend that I have in the books, like he's white and like it's just from the sticks.
And he's an ally.
Yeah, and he marches, like we go to a rally, like he'll come with us, he'll march with us, like he walks the walk too.
Yeah. Those are the friends that we keep close to our heart.
Yeah,
because they don't only do it in privately and support us in privately, but they do it publicly too.
Yeah, and he'll go toe to toe with people too. And I was like that's honestly what like I think we need more of.
Right.
It's like you and I can, like the three of us can be talking all we want to talk, but like the three of us can only do so much. Like it's like you need more feet on the ground. You need more people to get involved with it.
You need more allies to open up doors for us, to educate us on ways of going about it. Like it, don't criticize us for doing it the wrong way. Teach us on how to do it right.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a different approach. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny from Hop Knot. Man, it's been a pleasure.
It's been great.
Tell me something inspirational that you'll tell a young entrepreneur from the BIPOC community that wants to start a business but just doesn't know how.
Forget the haters. Forget the haters.
And in all aspects, internally or externally.
Yeah, forget the haters.
Give us your address on your location.
We're at 1000 Elm Street in the Brady Sullivan Plaza. Come see us. We're open Wednesday through Sunday. We open at 12 every day.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Delicious beer crafts.
Yeah, we got local craft beers. We got pretzels, trivia Thursdays, live music Friday nights. It's a good time.
Jasmine, business trip? Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Oscar. This has been First Generation American. Thank you so much for our wonderful guest, Kenny, with an amazing story and an entrepreneur and a juggernaut in the making. So be on the lookout for him and go check out his business in Manchester when you're visiting. Thank you so much for all of our sponsors, Boomer Graphics and Signs, Rivera Nayarit, and Mi Jalisco. Till next time, stay tuned and make sure that you share, like, and subscribe to all of our amazing content for more inspirational stories like this one. I'm your host. Till next time.